Welcome back to the Horn Takes podcast. This is the Bullpen, the internet show all about Texas baseball. I am Sean Redfern. Joining me, as always, from the Bullpen tonight, we got Zach Sim from OrangeBloods.com, Marc Pena from Occupy Left Field. We got 8 days until baseball. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine Thursday night?
Doing fantastic, man. We made it to the season. Feels like it's finally here and fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, I saw some of like the lower classifications have already actually started playing. And who was it? Someone was playing in some really nice snow. I know that wasn't fun for them, but it looked beautiful to watch the snow while they were pitching off the mound. I was like, holy hell. Baseball is brutal, man, this time of year. I don't even know how those dudes do it. They don't wear enough clothes to be out there in the snow.
Marc said he wants snow open day. He wants snow at the dish.
He did just say that, didn't he?
Guys, I'm going to try not to bitch the whole hour about the Alumni game and the weather last Saturday. That was absolutely miserable. And
well, we're going to talk about the Alumni game for sure. Absolutely have to do that. But before we do that, little housekeeping. Check out our friend Chinook Seedery over at ChinookSeedery.com. Best seeds ever, 8 great flavors. Man, if you come see us out in left field at some point, we'll have some seeds. I guarantee it. We three will be arguing about the best flavor, but they're all really, really good. So go over there and check those guys out. Use our promo code Horn Takes. You get 10% off your order. We appreciate the support there. Baseball season, man. Here we go. I mean, 8 days, baseball will kick off across the United States. I went and checked. I've been looking every single day to see what the TV schedule was supposed to look like. And it looks like, once again, this season, if you've got SEC Plus, if you've got ESPN Plus, you can watch basically every single Texas Longhorn baseball game this year. The only 3 you can't watch, the ones down in Houston. And they're on, like, YouTube or something like that, I thought I saw. Like, I guess you can subscribe to a YouTube channel and pay, like, a subscription or whatever to see those 3 games, which I might have to do that because yeah, I just I don't know. I just feel like I can't. There's not enough baseball for me to miss baseball.
I know. And those are also like the big week, first weekend of the season. I feel like we kind of ease into competition, and then Houston's where you start to get in front of some really solid teams. So yeah, those are going to be games you want to see for sure.
Yeah, I looked again at hotels, man, and I think who was telling me. It might have been you, Marc, was telling me there was like some massive cheerleading competition or something the same weekend.
It's the largest cheerleading competition in the country. So they have it right there at the convention center. That's like 2 blocks.
If you want to stay anywhere close to downtown or Minute Maid, or it's not even Minute Maid anymore, whatever the hell it's called now. It's like $600 a night if there is anything. Which I mean,
that's why Pena's down there, man. He's going for the
I know that's why
he's
Pena's the only one that can. Pena's got Pena money, man. He's the only one that can get in down there. But he's probably flying a helicopter down there, flying a helicopter back. He won't even stay. Well, cool, man. Thanks for joining tonight, guys. Make sure you check those guys out on their socials. Obviously, Occupy Left Field, always a fun follow. Zach will get you up to date with every single recruit that has anything to do with Texas baseball. I guarantee you that. It's funny. I'll hardly see anything out of Zach, and then in about an hour, I'll see about 20 posts where he's like, it's like he's getting them queued up and fires them out, just showing videos and things like that of all the recruits. So Zach's how I knew we were getting like 400 pitchers in our recruiting class this year, and we got to see some of those guys, several of those guys in the alumni game. So that was pretty cool. I guess we'll talk about the alumni game. Last year, the alumni game was it was fun to watch. There was a little bit of offense. You could tell there was some good pitchings. There were some things we talked about, we were excited about coming out of the alumni game from a pitching perspective. This year, the alumni game was like a pitching clinic. And man, I'll the one thing I noticed is these guys, every single one of them, they just pound the zone. It was like strike after strike after strike. And they, I mean, I love it. That's how you win baseball. You got to let people hit. You got to play defense behind them. You got to just keep them in the yard, obviously. But talk to us, guys. We'll start with you, Mark. We'll get your perspective from frozen left field on the game. Talk to us a little bit about, like, I know there was quite a few of you guys out there that were talking about you guys during the broadcast. They kind of panned out there. Looked like a good, solid 25, 30 folks out there freezing their ass off in left field. Talk about the experience. Talk about what you guys talked about or thought about the game as the alumni game. I know y'all are probably just drinking a lot of beer, but anyway, give us your thoughts anyway.
It was a great time out there. We really did have a good crew. Weather, quite honestly, was colder than it probably looked on the telecast. It was a sunny day, but the wind was whipping. It was really cold. I do kind of echo your thoughts, right? I thought the pitching obviously stood out. There wasn't a ton of offense. But typically in cold weather situations like that, pitching is going to have that advantage. You're not going to see a ton of offense. But man, I was really impressed specifically by the freshman pitchers that you saw early in the day, right? I think Cozart and Crossland really stood out to me. Just looking at Cozart, man, I still can't believe that.
Yeah, that dude's not a freshman. Like, let's get the record straight. That dude looks like he is 35 years old for real. Yeah. Like at least 35. He looks older than I do, but he's like really well put. I mean, that is a big kid.
Yeah, he looks like a 35-year-old lumberjack. Yeah.
He's got the best beard I've ever seen. He's like freaking 18 years old. He probably grew it out that morning, or he probably forgot to shave the day before or something. Has like this great beard. That is a big dude. Him and Crossland, that has got to be scary to like step up to the plate and see those two big bastards hurling 95 miles an hour. And Crossland, maybe I'm like not a baseball like savant or anything, but like he might have like the easiest 96 miles an hour I've ever seen. Like he just kind of he just got this real compact wind up, and then he's like boop, and it's pow. It just jumps out of his hand, but it is so smooth.
Yeah, and you know what stood out to me, and Zach, I don't know if you have any comments on this. I went back and rewatched the first 4 or 5 innings of the alumni game on Sunday, and what I love seeing from Crossland that you obviously can't see from out in left field is he looks like he's got a little crazy in him, man. He's kind of talking to himself while he's on the mound. He struck out 1 or 2 guys, and you can see he had like a little smart ass smile, and he looks like he's got a little psycho in him, which I love to see as a pitcher. And both of those guys just looked uber confident for like their first live action, here in the spring and facing, a really young and talented alumni side. And they just went right at those guys, right? And I was impressed by both of them. I've heard great things about them, obviously, and we talked on our last show about the embarrassment of riches that we have coming back from a pitching perspective, man. But if you can sprinkle in 3 or 4 freshmen into that mix that are all competing at a high level, I mean that just gives you even more depth and just ability from the mound. So I think that was my biggest takeaway Saturday.
Yeah, I think
Zach, your thoughts.
The maybe scary thing for a lot of opposing teams should be where Crossland is right now.
Yeah.
This is a guy that in high school was hitting 97, 98. He was looking at trying to top 100 coming out of high school. But the reason I say the scary part is right now is because he's only getting better, right? He's still learning how to refine and how to throw strikes. And he wasn't a guy in high school that had a big time pitching coach and a trainer and, all these external things going on. Like he was basically described as kind of a self-made pitcher. And so now you think of, okay, give him 2-3 years under Max Wiener. What is this guy going to look like? Like that's dangerous right there. But the biggest, obviously the biggest thing for him is he did come in, he commanded the zone, he threw strikes. He wasn't afraid to compete in 1-2 counts or 2-1 counts. I'm trying to remember which alumni it was. I think it was Skylar Messenger. He was expecting a fastball and just got a nasty hammer of a curveball, 12-6, just right over the heart of the plate. And Skylar was like, well, all right. Yep. And the other thing other than strikes, and you mentioned it earlier, Mark, these guys throw strikes and pound the zone. But here's the thing with this type of depth, if you don't throw strikes, you're not going to get to pitch. Like there's a lot of arms and there's not a lot of innings when you think about who throws and how much they're going to throw. So the confidence that these guys have, I think, also stands out. These are not your typical freshmen that come in and say, okay, I'm trying to figure my way through things. I'm trying to, get adjusted to school life and then compete against one of the best pitching staffs in the nation. I'm going in to win innings. I'm going in to win someone's job.
Yeah.
So that's certainly unique because you don't get that often. In talking to Schlossnagle, it's kind of apparent throughout the rest of the freshman class. You talk about Anthony Pack, we'll get to the hitters in a minute, but one of the first things that's been talked about him is he walked in like, okay, I can do this. It wasn't like, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? Like, he came in with a purpose, and the pitchers definitely have done that as well. Cozart was described in the late summer, early fall, when we knew he was going to get past the draft, as one of the best pure strike throwing, like plug and play guys in the SEC coming in. And I was like, okay, that's good to talk about. And I mean, he's done nothing but impress from day one. And so it's a lot of fun to see. The kid that y'all haven't mentioned yet, and this is my own personal opinion, so this is a hot take right here. I think the guy that maybe has the most upside long term is actually Brody Walls. He's he's 6'1". He's still growing a little bit. He's going to add more muscle and more mass. He didn't show it, but he throws 96, 97, and he's played shortstop most of his life. And so he's never been a pitcher only until this year. And he's a kid that you see him getting more and more confident. And then he's uber athletic, which that Max Wiener loves that because he loves calling no one a pitcher only. He wants them to be pitching athletes. And so he's a kid that I really like a lot. He may get the fewest innings out of the kind of the five guys that are coming in. But he's a guy that's certainly going to help you down the road. And next year is going to be a big piece. And then McKernan was the other guy that we saw out of the freshman class.
Yeah.
And the thing about him is he's pitched for Team USA. He's pitched at all the high level. Like, this is a kid that has been on the radar for scouts since 8th grade. Like, he's pitched in all the big situations. And so, Schlossnagle described him as a bulldog coming into the class. And that's the mentality he has. He's not afraid to compete. And he's only going to hit 93, 94 on the fastball, but it plays up. Like, it plays more than what it is just because of the movement he's able to put on and the shape. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're talking Texas baseball. We're talking the alumni game and specifically the pitching staff. Guys, jump in the chat. Give us your questions, comments, anything you like to talk about Texas baseball. Yeah, as I was watching the game, I'm just sitting there like kind of, no offense is happening at all. So I'm kind of just like going, man, Jason Flores looked really, really good in his inning. And I was really surprised. I thought we'd see, when he came out after the first inning, I thought we'd see, I believe it was I get confused on who came in after him. I know Cozart started for the other side, so I guess it was Crossland that came in.
Flores and Crossland, yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, maybe he'll pitch an inning. And then they kept running him out there, I mean, he pitched 2 2/3. Cozart went 4 innings and looked really good in 4 innings. So these are guys that for an alumni game got some length. Pitching and man, I was really impressed. I wouldn't say it's a bad outing, but the only guy that just didn't come out and whiz bang blow it up was Huddy, and he got one at bat, and it ended up being a walk. And I don't know what went into him not returning the next inning or whatever, but other than that, like, all the pitching was strike. Hey, you hit it, but you didn't hit it hard. I think maybe 2 hard hit balls the whole time. And Borba's was a bomb. Like, when he hit it, I was like, man, that might get out. But I think the wind was coming in. It was obviously cold. He still gets a triple out of it.
There was no hitting anything out.
Although and it just kept going. I was like, man, that might get out of here, and end up not. But yeah, it was a rough day to be a hitter for sure, because the pitching was really good, but the weather was awful. I mean, again, the only way the weather could have been worse is if it was snowing like it was in some of those D2 games. But yeah, I mean, you got to be exciting about the pitching, because we didn't even see, we talked the last time when we kind of previewed the team, we talked about all these guys that were coming back from the pitching staff, and we really didn't see those guys that much. We saw Flores, we saw Grubbs, and that's pretty much it. Besides that, it was all guys that we haven't really seen before, and they all stepped up. And I mean, these guys are throwing to professional baseball players, some of them, and getting outs, throwing strikes, getting out. So Yeah, I mean, it was an alumni game. There's not much to take from it either way, but man, it sure was good to see guys come in. And what I felt like you'll know this for sure, Zach. I felt like Flores' velo was up a little bit from last year. I felt like he was hitting like 94, 95. I felt like he was lower than that last year, but maybe not.
No, I mean, he's always sat in high school. He flashed in 96 and 97, and
Okay.
he's done it. But everyone's velo was down a little bit just because of the cold. They weren't trying to do anything too crazy. Like I said, McKernan was sitting 91, 92. And Walls was, he was sitting comfortably 93, 94. So no one was really maxing out. Flores had maxed out, though, last week, and he was in the high 90s with ease. Wow. But even like
tired of everybody
even
bragging
Thomas
about
Burns,
Burns.
he didn't get above 96, and
yeah,
he's hit 101 in practice. So, the pitching was good. The other hard hit ball was actually Anthony Pack late in the game. He hit one to left field, and the other freshman Maddox Mansour from Georgia.
Hell of a catch.
He didn't read it quite correctly because he's never played left field in his life, but he didn't quite read it. So he kind of came in, and they were also playing in because of the wind.
Right.
And so he made this like big looping corner. But to your point, he made this over the behind him catch, which was, I was like, damn, that's a lot of athleticism. But he's
that's
he's
what I
super
thought.
freaky athletic and defensive.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and you like to have guys that are. I mean, you just like to have a team full of guys that can do shit like that. I mean, as much skill as there is involved with baseball, there still is very much an element of just being a very good athlete. And I feel like we've seen this team get better offensively from that perspective for sure. It'll remain to be seen whether they hit better and do, field better, all those other things. But they have gotten a little more athletic, in my opinion, than they were last year. Which again, I think that's always a good thing. Marc, before we move a little forward, talk to us about. I mean, opening day is coming next Friday. I know the left field crazies are probably itching to go. Is there anything special, or is it just like, hey, let's get this thing going, let's have a few beers this weekend? What is going on out in left field next weekend for when UC Davis shows up?
Man, we're going to try and do it big. I'm really hoping that the weather, the forecast stays like it is right now, right? It's looking like it's going to be in the 70s during the day next weekend. So that'll make for fantastic weather on Saturday and Sunday. Still may get a little chilly on Friday once the sun goes down, but we're expecting big crowds, Sean. Opening weekend always brings large crowds out there. Probably going to be doing some cooking on Saturday, getting some good barbecue out there, and hosting some of the new player parents that are, going to get acclimated to the left field crew. So, man, we're fired up. I think we're going to get lucky weather-wise, and hoping that all the fans come out to support the team. It's going to be a great time, and obviously something that we've been looking forward to for months now. So we're fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, getting out to left field to me is like half the fun, man. It's just a really good time out there. It's really cool to mingle with the LSU weekend was great because they brought a ton of fans. Yep. They were all cool. It was like a big party out there, and you got to meet. You start talking to these LSU guys, and they're all really, really cool. And then you find out 90% of them are players' dads, and then you start to go, well, that's his kid. So that was cool. I actually met one guy. I forgot the kid's name, but that pitcher that made us look crazy Friday night. Really good pitcher. I ended up meeting his dad before, and then I figured out it was his dad somewhere in the middle of the game. And I walked up to him after the game. I was like, man, how come you didn't tell me, man? That dude can throw.
Yeah.
So we ended up having a chuckle and talking after the game. But yeah, that left field is a great time. You'll see celebrities like Zach Sim, freaking Hardball Harge. The first time I ever met Zeke was out there at left field. So you'll see Texas football players, Texas baseball players of old, and it's just always a good time. We encourage you to get out there. We will be out there. We won't be down there until Ole Miss weekend, but we will be out there representing Ole Miss weekend for sure. All three games. So make sure you check that out. Let's talk a little bit about this UC Davis bunch that's coming in. I don't know much about them. I went and looked went and looked at their record last year. They're 27-28. They were 13-17 in whatever little conference that is that's got Cal State. And it's like I don't even know what it's called, but I couldn't find it. I didn't look that hard, to be honest, but I couldn't find what conference they're in. It looks like they're bringing back like 4 of their top 5 bats off that team last year. They lost their main guy. It looks like at least their highest batting average guy off that team last year. So, Zach, do you know anything about this team other than what I just said? And what can we expect out of UC Davis?
Yeah, for sure. They play out in the Big West, for the record, which has some pretty good teams.
There's good ball teams, yeah.
They got UC Irvine, they got Cal Poly, UC Santa Barbara's out there, Cal State's out there, Hawaii, who a lot of people like, is out there, Long Beach State. Shout out to alumni Troy Tulowitzki. But yeah, no, I mean, the Big West is always a very competitive league, has always been. UC Davis is picked in the lower half of that, so they're picked behind most of the teams I just mentioned. As far as a team goes, I mean, you're right, they did lose a couple of big time guys. The biggest thing that you want to look for them is who their head coach is. It's Tommy Nicholson. So every Texas fan, a baseball fan, should know who Tommy Nicholson is. Oh, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because last year they actually had a pretty good ERA. They had an ERA just north of 3, but they didn't have a lot of wins to go along with it. And so really
they had no bats.
Yeah.
they struggled at the plate last year.
They struggled at the plate a lot, right? And so the pitching actually looks like it could be decent. They've got a couple of guys that pitched last year out of the bullpen that'll probably move into the starting rotation, not unlike Texas. They have a freshman, I believe his name is Tyler Wood. He was out of the bullpen last year. He had a losing record and a 4 ERA, but I mean, he looked real solid, and he's a guy that they're definitely going to lean on this year. So.
Yeah, so again, first game, first series of the season. We don't know what to expect out of this team. The last year's UC Davis team, kind of a 500 type team, not real good at the plate. I mean, they'll probably get a little better with another year under their belt, but we'll see how they can do against some of that Texas pitching. Let's talk about this Texas team. We kind of alluded a little bit or talked a little bit about what the pitching rotation might look like that opening weekend. And I think I'm going to say, just based off of Dylan Valanis wasn't pitching in that alumni game. I think we all know that, but everything I've heard is he's probably going to be your Friday night guy. I think maybe Jason Flores may be like a Saturday guy or a Sunday guy. And I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but who else, who do you think jumps into that third spot, assuming those two things are possible or probable?
So I actually think, it's going to be Dylan Valanis Friday night opening up. I don't have many doubts about that. I think Luke Harrison will be your Saturday guy.
I forgot about Luke.
So Flores is certainly on the inside track to win that Sunday job, but there's a reason they're stretching out Cozart and Crossland during an alumni game. They're getting them ready for what does the preparation look like? How do you go about getting ready for a game and going through the routine and the ritual? And so, it wouldn't shock me if weekend 1 Flores wasn't the guy and it was one of those two. But I would say there's a better than 70% chance it likely will be Valanis, Harrison, and then Flores. So the one thing I would say is, I don't think you're going to see anyone get stretched out too much this coming weekend. They're not going to go run him out for 7 innings and let him just eat. They've got way too many arms that they want to test out. And if UC Davis isn't able to hit, then that's the perfect time just to run out some arms, get some confidence, get going. So.
All right, so we think Valanis Friday night, Harrison, and I can't believe I forgot about Luke Harrison. It's been too long since I saw Luke Harrison throw pitches, man. That's the problem. Man, I still got football on my mind, man. We should have been playing a few weeks ago for a national championship, damn it. But I like, man, Flores. So Flores last year was kind of interesting because he would have 2 or 3 just badass innings. And then there was always kind of this one inning where it was almost mental, where it just kind of got away from him. And I think that's probably what held him back from having more of a role maybe in that starting, or, towards the end of the season when people were hurt, things like that. I just think they couldn't trust him to continue past those 2 or 3 really good first innings, which makes a lot of sense. But it was good to see him come out and just really hammer the zone in that Alumni game. He's got the stuff, man. He's got really good stuff. Another guy I think that we saw a little bit last year, Cade Bing. Where do you think he fits in? He's probably a middle reliever type guy or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Tuesday nights and starting and or middle relief at this point. I could see them starting Cade on Tuesday and then turning it over to the freshmen to let them get their work. But very frankly, I think there's a very high probability that Crossland, Cozart, or Winter, one of those 3 steals Tuesday nights at some point during the season throughout, right? The other name, it'll be interesting to see how they handle him. But the guy that has been pitching lights out has been Ruger. And so what do you do with him, and how much do you give him that opportunity, right? Like he's an older guy, so he has the experience. At the same time, his best baseball when he was coming out of the pen. So what does that look like? And, is he the first arm out of the bullpen? Because he doesn't have to be the closer. I mean, we all know the closer is going to be Burns. That's he's locked it down. And so it'll be very interesting to see how they kind of because last year what you saw often when Spencer was still healthy was you kind of started to see where they would pair certain guys up out of the pen with a starter, right? It was always Grubbs with a guy. It was all, and so, if they can get to that kind of consistency with the depth that they have, then you kind of fill in the blanks as you want, inning here, there, inning less here. But in talking to coach, last year's results don't mean anything this year. So there's going to be guys that got innings last year that are not going to get innings this year, or not as many innings this year. So it'll be very different.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean,
what are you hearing, Zach, about LeFew for the Wake Forest transfer?
Yeah, I mean, he's still, again, a big time arm that they want to have out of the bullpen. He's going to play a major role in terms. So obviously Volantis, Ruger, LeFew did not pitch in the Alumni game. They pitched the very next day. So they had a scrimmage, whatever you want to call it. So they all pitched the very next day.
Gotcha.
So yeah, there's a lot of big time arms, and they're all looking for a spot right now. The other guy that we didn't talk about earlier was Cal Higgins, the Western Kentucky transfer. He's another guy that too. It's just you can bolster the matchups by, okay, you're late in a game and it's a lefty. Okay, roll out Higgins and then roll Burns out there for the righty. So both of them are very talented and they both have plus stuff, and it'll be fun to see.
That's going to be a tough job, man. That's a lot of mouths to feed, and like you said, few innings a week. So it's going to be interesting to see how the first month of the season goes as you lead up to SEC play, to see kind of where guys slide in and where they start to find their roles. It's going to be super competitive. And, back to your point, if you don't throw strikes, you're not going to be on the mound. So a lot of pressure, and I'm assuming those guys will be ready, but it's going to be a hell of a battle.
Yeah, I think that third weekend down in Houston is going to be really telling. Because almost assuredly we're headed towards a Cameron Flukie versus Dylan Volantis matchup on Friday night. And then, does Luke Harrison get the go against Baylor, or do you put Flores out there? Which one matches up maybe is better looking at that. But what they do and how they handle Coastal Carolina, I think will set kind of the stage for getting into SEC play, even though they have another weekend after that. But the other game that I don't think anyone should be looking past at all right now is the Tuesday night after opening weekend. It's Lamar. Lamar's a team that has a very, very talented squad. I mean, they beat Texas in extra innings, yes. Like, it was a very low-scoring game. It was a very close game until the ninth inning. But they're going to come in on Tuesday night in 2 weeks, and they're going to be looking to get the win. Like, they've got the confidence, and they've got a talented squad. So it'll be interesting to see more so maybe how they face Lamar versus what they do. This weekend is all about who gets the starts, not necessarily who gets the innings. Against Lamar, it's going to be, how do you handle Tuesday night? This is where your depth shows.
something you don't see a lot in college baseball, and it's probably just because you don't have the arms, is and you do see in pro baseball, you see like they'll change pitchers like multiple times an inning. And you were talking about that just a minute ago, Zach, with the matchups. Do you think like that's something Sloss would like to be able to do? I mean, I think probably that's a stupid question because I think most people would love to be able to just wheel arms out there, get people fed, and just completely keep people off balance. Do you think this is a staff at this point? And I know we haven't seen them play, but you've watched them a lot more than anybody else for the last few months. Do you think this is the type of group he could have that type of thing in his back pocket with?
Yeah, I think so. They're going to bring the freshmen along slowly. They're not going to just dump them immediately into the fire. But yeah, I think this is one of those groups where in a given inning, if it's a high leverage situation, SEC ball, and you have to go steal a win on a Friday night or a Sunday night or maybe a Saturday to win the series, you are going to roll out a guy like Ethan Walker and then roll out a guy like Higgins and then roll out a guy like Burns or a Hudson Hamilton or one of the others. Like you are going to roll out every single different look you possibly can to keep their hitters off. That is absolutely what this group can do for sure.
And it seems like that's by design. I mean, they really, I don't know what a typical, like, I haven't followed baseball recruiting like I've followed football recruiting over the years, but it was just nuts. Like the amount of pitchers they brought in. I mean, over half the team is pitchers. And I don't even know if that's typical for a college baseball team. You guys tell me, but it's like 41 guys on the roster, 22 of them are pitchers. That's pretty pitch heavy.
It is pitch heavy. But I think as you get towards a 34-man roster, I think it's probably going to be more closer to the norm than what you see historically, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're going to have
SEC,
a lot of
right?
guys.
34.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of guys where, let's face it, injuries happen more often to pitchers, like knock on wood that nothing happens. But like oftentimes that affects you much deeper than on the hitting side. And so getting that number of arms and then being able to go the entire season and grind through that is a much bigger risk on the pitching side. And so you have to have that number of arms. And then, I mean, if you look at it, what Texas does is they're known for their pitching and offense or their pitching and defense. And so that their ballpark plays to that. So if you play to your strengths and you add to that strength, well, that makes you that much better. And so.
Yeah. I mean, I think arguably Max Wiener, the best pitching coach in college baseball. So you got that as well. You got to give that guy some arms to play with because he's already. I mean, we saw what he did at Texas A&M. That was a phenomenal job in a very short amount of time. I think even look at the job he did last year with the arms he had before the injuries. Man, that starting group was cooking, and it was like every card he played was the right card. That was just an amazing thing to watch. And then, it kind of got derailed with a couple of injuries. And I think now we've got some depth though, where that may not be as big of an issue. At least you got some pretty strong guys behind those guys. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how he handles the pitching and all that stuff and getting guys innings and having guys ready to pitch. There was a lot of guys last year that didn't get to pitch until the end of the season. And like, we're still in situations where we need people to come in and get innings and get outs and try to help us win games. And those guys didn't have a lot of experience early on. So maybe it'll be a different season this year in terms of that. Flipping it over to the lineup, a couple of notable things, just watching the offense at the alumni game. No Jonah Williams. And I think that's probably by design, or maybe he might be nursing something a little bit from football. I couldn't tell. They were interviewing him and I couldn't tell if I missed something or not, but you figure a guy like him probably wasn't going to play anyway. And then A-Rod is still recovering from the hand surgery, right?
Yeah. So after football season, so football ended early second week of January, whatever it was. They gave Jonah 10 days off and said, okay, you got 10, 12 days, like go rest up, go heal up, no football, no athletics, nothing. So, he's just late getting into the swing of things in terms of hitting, fielding, getting back into normal baseball motion. And so with the cold weather, they said, look, there's no chance we're putting him out there, letting him go run around and be, the crazy energetic self he is.
Yeah.
So that was just purely precautionary. I mean, he was out there in between innings throwing the ball. He was fully suited. Like if they wanted to, they could put him in. And then with A-Rod, if you watched in infield play before the game, I mean, he's making all the throws. He's doing all the like he looked really good. And Sloss said, like, hey, he could have played defensively, but he's still working back from hitting. So he is hitting. It's not like he can't hit, but he's just working back, and they're bringing it very slowly because they want no chances. They don't want to take any issues with, affecting his ramp up time. And so they're both giving guys as much time as they can and, bringing them along.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Now both of them are, headed towards starting on day one.
Yeah, and so we got to see a lot of the new guys that came in, a lot of the guys that came in out of the transfer portal. We got to see what was it? Robbins out in center field, Larson out in the left field, Anthony Pack Jr., who's a guy that a lot of people feel like might slide into that one of those starting outfield positions. He really impressed in the fall. You talked about that, Zach. Marc, I'm gonna put you on the spot. It's the first put on the spot of the season. Tell us what, you don't have to go give us the order, but tell us who you think starting and who and where defensively Friday night against UC Davis.
That's a good question. And obviously I'll just address, I think, two of the biggest question marks for me. I would expect, a guy like A-Rod to be at shortstop, a guy like Jonah to be in the outfield. But, I'm kind of a greedy fan where I want to see like the starters rolled out there opening day. But, you got to understand if we kind of take it slow with both of those guys and maybe get them some rest. But, we talked about this on the last show. What I'm expecting to see is Becerra at third, A-Rod at short with Mendoza at second and Borba at first. That's what I'm expecting the outfield to look like. And going back, I'm sorry, the infield. And going back to your comment, I've loved what I've seen from Pack. He looks very confident in the outfield. He looks like he's just got a good spark and good attitude about him. So I think him and Larson are going to battle for that third outfield spot. I would expect that, if they're healthy, Robbins and Jonah are going to be penciled into two of those three positions. And then you have left field is going to be either Larson or Pack. And, you'll probably see both of them get opportunities early in the season just to see who settles in. And, I'm expecting that at the beginning of the year, a guy like Livingston, the transfer from Wichita State, Zach, I've heard he can play third, he can play first. He's also probably one of the leaders for the DH spot as well. So I'm expecting him to get a lot of run. And that's what I think you'll see first weekend. And, I think the two things that I want to see from our position players are, one, solid defense in the infield. I mean, you got some familiar names, but they've all been kind of mixed up and they're in different spots now, right? Mendoza is the only returning starter at the same position that he played his last season. You have Borba moving from third to first, A-Rod moving from third to short. You got a new catcher who's obviously probably going to be a badass, but, he's coming behind Galvan, so you're going to have to show me a lot for me to be impressed. So I want to see good infield defense. And, man, I just want to see us limit strikeouts early in the season. I've been around Texas ball long enough to know that what you see the first couple weeks is likely going to be what you get for the entire season. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it last year opening weekend where we were striking out like 12, 15 times a game or something like that? We won a couple of the games, but I mean, we were striking out double digits the entire weekend. And that just doesn't bode well. I was talking to one of the players' dads at dinner on Friday, and, he's just hearing that he thinks the strikeouts are going to be cut down. We're going to, be able to put the ball in play at a little bit of a higher rate. So I'm excited to hear comments like that, but I also want to see it, right? I think Texas baseball teams, those are two very important things, just solid defense and being able to limit your strikeouts.
Yeah, strikeouts last year opening weekend, 16, 11, and 13.
Jeez,
now, they obviously –
I remember that.
Yeah, we talked
they
about
lost
it
to
on the
Louisville
show.
to
We're like,
start
that's
off
bad.
with That was a 3-4 game that was, it was walk-off. They
Yeah.
run ruled Ole Miss, and they still struck out 11 times, and they struck out 13 times as they battered Oklahoma State. But, everything I've seen, this is going to be a much more consistent team. This is not a team that's going to be searching for power. And so I think what you'll see is a lot more extra base hits, but they'll be in the form of doubles and, potentially triples. Triples are hard, but you'll see a lot more doubles from this team than you will see home runs. But that said, like, they've got guys with some power. I mean, obviously Carson Tinney, what he did last year, Notre Dame, 17 home runs. He's got just ridiculous power. He in practice last week, he was hitting him 110, 112, 113, 108. And that's against live pitching. That's not against, BP stuff, right? And then if you happen to be seeing BP during the alumni game with the wind blowing in, Livingston was launching him over the wall with ease, straight into that wind over right field. So he's the guy that hit, I think, 9 home runs last year for Wichita State. Borba hit 12 for Texas. So there's, if you project out a little bit, if you can have Borba hit 15, Tinney hit 12 to 15, Livingston hit another 10 to 12, then you get a guy like A-Rod where he can take that production from 7 to 10. This is easily a squad that you can pencil in at 60 home runs right off the bat. And then that's not even taking into account the additional power that Mendoza has. Now, I still want to see Mendoza, how he adapts to having more power. Is he going to kind of try to chase, or is he going to stick to a guy that is a 315 lifetime hitter where he's just knocking singles one after the other? And the reason I say that is because I fully anticipate Mendoza is going to be leading off this lineup again this year. And you don't want your lead-up guy just going up there looking for home runs, right? Because you want him to get on base. You want Robbins to get on base. Well, probably A-Rod will be second, but then you have Robbins coming up. And so, there's a lot of teams that are going to have to battle through that top half of that lineup to get to a 300 hitter like Timo Becerra, who doesn't have power. So, it'll be more consistent for sure, though.
Yeah, I think that's the advantage this lineup is going to have over the lineup last year, and you nailed it. I think it's tougher to pitch to. There were some pretty obvious holes in the lineup last year. A lot of good players, a lot of good potential, but a lot of it just didn't show up last year consistently. I'll say that. Sometimes it showed up. Like if we talked about Gaspo so much headed into last year, and he completely had a really rough year at the plate. But man, that Missouri weekend was like, that's what we thought like Gaspo was going to be. What did he hit? Like 5 home? It was ridiculous. He hit over 500 that weekend, had like 12 RBI or some craziness like that. So yeah, there was guys in the lineup that had that type of potential, but it just didn't show up that much. And maybe dialing it back on the power side and just bringing in guys that are consistently around 300 is what this team ultimately needed to maybe it sort of matches that pitching, and a little bit of offense with that type of pitching can be pretty dangerous. So it'll be interesting to see. Really, to me, the coolest thing about college baseball is just what is the identity of the team going to be? Yeah, we've seen some Texas teams that could mash the baseball. We've seen other teams that, like, Marc was talking about it, I think probably last year. We used to watch Texas baseball win like 2-1. If we got 2 runs, like, the game was over. And as over as a baseball game can be, it was over if we got to 2 or 3 runs. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what type of mix we get this year on a consistent basis. Offense versus pitching, but I think the pitching looks really, really strong headed in, and it probably as strong as it's looked in a while. And so I'm excited about that. And I like an old school pitching game too, where like you just can't hit nobody, like they just can't get a hit, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Don reposted the stream. All right, appreciate that, Don. I don't know what that means, but thanks, Don, for reposting.
At the same time, Sean, I really want to see the offense come out of the gate hot. I like the way that our schedule sets up. Right, it's like we're playing 3 of the 4 first weekends at home, and then have a good test in Houston. But I'm really kind of looking at the first 2 weekends as almost like a little mini preseason for baseball, right? You have 8 games at home. Like Zach said, I was thinking about this today. I think Lamar is probably going to be our hardest game before we get to Houston. But it's just like, get those 8 games in. I want to see the offense look good. Want to see the pitchers get their opportunity. And then, once you get to Houston, it's like lights, camera, action. You're ready to go at that point. So.
Yeah, and then not too much longer from that, you're playing SEC baseball, and we know how good that conference is in baseball. The SEC is better in baseball, and I've been saying this for a long time. It's better in baseball than it was going to be in football. It's better in baseball than it is in basketball, which this year is a little bit down. Last couple of years for basketball have been really, really good in the SEC. So yeah, the baseball is just to me like a notch above what the SEC ever was in football. It's just that good. It's just so many good players, so many good coaches, so many programs willing to invest in those programs and really put the money out there to get the right guys in there. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see what they can get cranked up headed into SEC play. We talked last week about how we thought the schedule was not last week, a couple weeks ago when we previewed the season, about how the SEC schedule looked pretty favorable for us. The one thing I'm pissed about, I was so excited. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I booked every weekend in Baton Rouge a hotel because I didn't know when it was going to be, but I thought they're not going to ruin that. There's no way they're not giving us a return trip to Baton Rouge. So when the schedule came out, I was so freaking mad. Not because I booked all the stuff and I had to go cancel it, but just because, like, come on, man. I want to go to Baton Rouge. I want to go watch a series in the box. I don't know how they botched that, but it's still a really good schedule, but it's not. I don't think it's as tough. Thoughts there?
I think our schedule's tougher on the road this year, obviously, than it was
That's fair.
last season, right? We had a lot of the big opponents in Austin last year, and then, this year having to go to A&M, Knoxville, Vanderbilt, Auburn, who I think is a really, really good club.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, we're gonna have some tough road series, and I echo your sentiment about LSU, but I was just as pissed that we didn't get a return trip from Arkansas. I was wanting to play them here in Austin after they swept us last season.
That's true. That's true.
So I think those were the 2 downers for me. But yeah, I think the home SEC schedule, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Texas to convert a lot of those series and get a lot of wins at home, right?
Yep.
You're playing teams like Missouri at home, Oklahoma, who you should be able to beat here in Austin. So yeah, and man, I tell you what, I think the one circle your calendar weekend in Austin this spring is going to be that Mississippi State series. That's going to be
I'm excited about that
matchup, and we're encouraging all of those Mississippi State fans to come down to Austin. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest weekend of the year from a home schedule perspective.
Yeah,
from
Zach,
a scheduling
thoughts?
perspective, I did a breakdown of this earlier when I was doing my SEC preview, and on paper, and this is going by last year's RPI and this year's preseason top 25 rankings, but on paper, Texas has the easiest schedule in the SEC. And I thought Arkansas did, but they both play 5 ranked opponents. That's it. Everyone else plays 6 to 9. Ole Miss plays 9. Other 10 scheduled series are against preseason top 25 teams.
Oh, wow.
That's something. Yeah, they only play 5 ranked preseason teams. Now, again, preseason rankings are absolute, just hogwash. But then if you look at last year's RPI ratings and you carry that forward against every year is different, their average RPI is like 7.5, which is quite high, whereas Arkansas's is like in the 5s. And so, yeah, on paper, using different models, that Texas certainly has the easiest schedule. But to Mark's point, Texas is going to Tennessee. They've never been. They're going to Vanderbilt. I don't remember them having traveled to Vanderbilt personally, but I guess it's possible back in the day. We've seen how they operate at South Carolina. That was not a fun trip a couple of years ago. At A&M is going to be a spectacle. I mean, everyone's going to be tuning in for that.
Yep.
And then, you have the at Auburn, and Auburn it'll be interesting to see what their pitching looks by the time that Texas gets to them. On paper, they are a team that is going to mash. I want to see what their pitching does. They've got a lot of talent. I don't know that they have a true ace yet. and that can make a difference on a Friday night, right? But certainly kicking off with a team like Ole Miss at home, I think is going to be fun for Texas. I mean, that's a good group. And then obviously the Mississippi States of the world coming into Austin. So those are the two big headliners. Oklahoma, that's always going to be a great series just because Skip and then the amount of talent and what they're bringing to the bunch. And so the other, I think the other matchup that a lot of people maybe overlook is the fact that Alabama's coming to town.
Yeah.
They've got one of, if not the best shortstop in the SEC, and Justin LeBron coming in. Their ace is, a Friday night dude, and they've got probably one of their best teams that they've ever had under Rob Vaughn. And so that's a team that people are flying maybe under the radar a little bit. It's like a number 26 or 27 ranked team, but that's going to be a dangerous, very, very dangerous team. So.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of undangerous teams in the SEC, just to be perfectly
Missouri,
honest. Like
South Carolina.
well, I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Kentucky's dangerous because they'll all end up in the hospital for leaning over the plate and getting hurt or getting hit the whole game. But
no, Texas is lucky they didn't get Kentucky this year. Kentucky returns all three or both of their starter weekend rotation guys, and they get Jackson Jelkin back.
Garbage
and that is a
program.
deep lineup.
Garbage program. I can't take him seriously just because of that kid that wore the pink pimp hat in the dugout the whole damn series against us. I can't take them seriously anymore.
Yeah, they're a mess, man, for sure. But all right, let's talk. I saw. So you look at the rankings, and they're all over the place this year. But Texas way more consistently right there in that top 5, top 10 area. I think as high as number 2 or number 3 in some of the polls. Yeah. So at least all the outlets feel like Texas is in a better spot this year than they were last year. Finished or picked to finish second in the SEC behind LSU. Let's just get some guesses out there earlier in the season, something we can clown each other about later on when it doesn't happen or it does happen. We'll start with you, Zach, since you're on the big screen. Where do you think this Texas team ends up in the SEC regular season? And where do you think this team ends up postseason?
Regular season, I think they come in at 18 wins and they come in 3rd place.
Okay.
Postseason, I think they're hosting in Austin for a regional, and I think they'll be right there, if not a top 16 host or a top 8 host. I think they'll probably come in at like 7 or 8. So,
okay, you think Omaha or bust for this Texas team?
I mean, you never can predict, right? If this team stays healthy and this offense is able to be consistent, yes, this is an Omaha caliber team purely based on the amount of pitching talent and depth. It's the offense has to do its job, not have to be heroic or anything like that. Yeah, I think I handicapped this the other day and I said the floor of this team should be super regionals. The ceiling of this team is a national championship contender. That's how talented they are.
All right, Mark, I'm going to throw it over to you. I don't even know why I'm going to throw it over to you, but I'm going to throw it over to you, Mark, because I know what you're going to say anyway. But get it, man. Tell us before we ever throw a pitch, what are we doing this year in the SEC, and what does this postseason look like for the Texas Longhorns?
All right, we are a consensus top 10 program to start the season, right?
That's it.
So that makes the rest of my answers very, very simple. We will finish in the top 3 of the SEC. We will be a top 8 national seed, and Texas will make Omaha. And I will even be that obnoxious guy that says if we do not make the College World Series this season, which would be what, the 3rd year in a row? Is that correct?
That's it.
Haven't made it since 2023.
It would be the 4th year, right? Or the 3rd?
24, 25, 26, 3rd.
Yeah, it'll be the 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. If we do not make the College World Series this year, the season is a disappointment. I don't care what else happens. That's my opinion.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna go with I think we're a top 2 team in the SEC. 1 or 2, I don't know. And I gotta kind of go with Mark here, man. I feel like last year Schloss kind of had to scramble to get his team together, and we saw what he was able to do with the bunch that came in, and really a lot of the guys that showed out last year were guys that a lot of people didn't know about. And now you've got this group of guys that is proven. They're a transfer portal offense, but they've got an amazing amount of arm coming back. They've got all the young guys we've been talking about that came in with the recruiting class. Got some key guys in the transfer portal there as well. I just feel like if this team cannot go to Omaha, then they have not come close to meeting their potential. And I know that baseball is baseball, and we see good teams all the time that don't make it to Omaha. But I just feel like if you look at this team on paper, they got to get to Omaha. And I would even say hosting a super regional, like, and just like getting edged out, like some fluky crap or something like the Stanford shit from a few years ago. Like I might be able to just go, okay, all right, shit happens, but I'll still be disappointed because I think they have that type of roster that they should get there. They've got the coaching staff. We know that. So yeah, I don't know. Let us know your thoughts if you're following along in the chat. Don, who reposted this stream, I don't know what that even means, but so there it is, man.
It means he retweeted it on Twitter.
Okay, well, great. Appreciate that, Don. That's awesome. I see the little X now. My bad. I'm old. I'm the oldest one in this thing, even though Mark, he's old. I'm the oldest one here. Tell us real quick. You just started your Monday chats with Sloss again. Remind everybody what the name of that show is, how they can find it, and give us just like a little snippet, like the most important little thing you guys talked about this last Monday.
Yeah, so they typically post 11 a.m. every Monday. It's called Around the Horns. So it's Coach Sloss and I talking baseball. And you know what? It's honestly, I try to go in with an open mind, so you never know what we're going to talk about. This past Monday, we talked all about culture, just year one to year two. How do you turn expectations into reality? How do you kind of get that edge back? And, you don't want guys kind of looking over the shoulder going, well, I did this last year. How do I carry that over? So we talked a lot about the culture and just kind of the mindset of how you get the freshmen ready. How do you integrate a group of freshmen that are supremely talented? They're the future of your program. You return almost 400 innings, right? So how do you start slicing and dicing that pitching staff together? And then I think some of the fun part about it is we wrapped up talking about some of the MLB changes or proposed changes around the draft and what they're going to do with single A ball and all that. So it's every Monday. It's posted on Orange Bloods and on YouTube at 11 a.m.
Yes, make sure you guys check that out. I've caught a few of those episodes. It's always really good stuff, and Zach has some funny things that he lets us know about, that he talks about with Schloss that just can't even go in the public. But it's good stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. And that's an interesting point. It's got to be tough pulling this many guys in that haven't played baseball together and trying to manage that. I mean, we see it in football too now. And we'll see it we see it in basketball. Hell, we got NBA players that are playing college basketball now. What the hell is happening to our college sports? That's my spiel on that, and that's all I'll say. But yeah, it's got to be hard for these coaches to pull in all these guys and build a culture that fast. And it's almost like you got to do it every single year because guys will leave, you'll bring new guys in. So the culture builders, the guys that can kind of figure out a way to do that expertly will be the guys that are most successful, I think, in college sports going forward, because that's what it's going to take.
The other thing about this squad compared to last year's squad, no one knew who the heck was going to pitch, right? Like Max Scrubs threw 67 or 69 innings last season. He didn't pitch all fall. So he went in to practice on the first day of practice, having not thrown a ball in 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it was. And so you think about the Galvans, the Ballus, the Schuslers, the Flores, they had a really tight lineup group. Those guys have been together. They brought a certain feeling, a certain moxie. They got a bunch of weirdos, man. Like Max Wiener and the weirdos are out there having fun in the bullpen. It's a different team. It is a very different feeling. And so that changes from year to year, right? Like your team identity is different, and you're not going to find what kind of identity until you get punched in the face. But it'll be fun to see how this group grows. That was the thing I was most interested to get Schloss's view on this past Monday when we were chatting.
Good stuff. Mark, final thoughts before we kick it off. We first pitch it next Friday night. What do you got going with us, man? What should we hear from Mark?
I just want to encourage the fans to get out to Dish Ball for opening weekend, man. I think that's very important. Attendance and support from the fan base is probably number one to Schlossnagle, right? That's very important to him. This team and this program deserve it, and they demand that type of support as well. So just want to encourage everybody to get out there. The weather's going to be nice. Come out, have a beer with us, man, and show the team some love.
Yeah, I'll echo that. And I know, Mark, you were disappointed in the crowd a few times last year. I thought at times the crowd was really good last year for some of the bigger series and bigger moments. So yeah, if you come out, definitely come out, have a few beers with left field guys, get in the stadium, have a few more beers, and like have a damn good time at a baseball game and cheer these kids on. Yeah, man, excited for baseball. I've been bummed out because football didn't go very far this year. And so it's been rough waiting for something to happen. And here and I'm not a basketball guy really. So here we are. We got baseball next weekend. So yeah, get out. Follow these guys on Twitter. Make sure you check out Zach talking with Coach Schloss every Monday. We will try to be back. I think we'll try to do Mondays again. I know Mark said he's an old man and he doesn't think he can do that after drinking beer all weekend, but we'll get him wheelchaired in and we'll go Monday nights. That way we can talk about the weekend and then preview the week ahead. So we'll be back after the UC Davis series. Check us out that Monday, probably 8:00. I think that works best for everybody. Again, follow on Twitter, follow us on YouTube. You guys have a good night. Let's get ready for some baseball. Hook 'em.